In the heart of the forsaken desolation woods, where the very air was thick with ancient malevolence, 5 friends embarked on a camping trip they would never forget. The trees loomed like sentinels of doom, their branches clawing at the sky, and the wind seemed to carry with it the anguished wails of forgotten souls. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long twisted shadows, the group set up camp with forced laughter, desperate to mask their unease. The forest seemed to draw closer, its trees closing ranks as if to seal them in. The fire's feeble light danced in the pitch-black expanse, offering little solace against the lurking horrors. In the heart of night, a sinister symphony of whispers began, a maddening chorus that spoke of unspeakable terrors. The flames flickered and sputtered as if struggling to withstand an unseen force. As they exchanged uneasy glances, a branch snapped, followed by a low guttural growl that seemed to emerge from the very earth itself. As the group huddled in their tents, shivers ran down their spines at the sound of their own breath. The once starry sky was now an impenetrable blanket, and the forest had become a living, breathing entity. The fire's glow offered little comfort as shadows danced on the periphery, contorting into grotesque shapes that whispered promises of suffering. A pale moon cast an eerie glow, revealing the pallid faces of the friends etched with fear. Then from the depths of the woods a haunting howl echoed, an agonized cry that curdled their blood. They clung to the belief that it was simply a wolf's cry, but the unease grew stronger, sinking its claws into their very souls. Sleep was unthinkable. Every rustle of leaves, every sigh of the wind sent their hearts racing, just as they were about to convince themselves that it was all in their heads. A voice, a wailing lament, pierced the night. It was a voice that held centuries of sorrow, and it seemed to come from every direction, suffocating them in its grip. The fire suddenly blazed higher, casting stark, eerie shadows that seemed to beckon them into the heart of darkness. Unnerved, they clung to each other, unable to tear their eyes away from the twisting forms that danced around them. In the distance, shapes moved, barely visible, a parade of spectral figures with hollow eyes fixed on them. With dawn came a ghastly discovery. A mutilated animal lay near their camp, its body twisted into an unnatural pose. Panic set in as they realized they were not alone in desolation woods. The fabric of reality seemed to fray as their surroundings became a nightmare. Trees grew taller, roots formed grotesque shapes, and the forest's breath seemed to chill their very souls. As they searched for a way out, a figure emerged from the shadows, a twisted creature with elongated limbs and empty eyes that bore into them. The friends fled, their terror propelling them deeper into the forest's embrace. The air grew thicker, the trees gnarled and contorted, and the ground seemed to pulse with malevolent energy. Hours turned into an eternity as they stumbled upon a clearing, the moonlight casting an otherworldly glow. In the center stood a tree, blackened and gnarled, its branches writhing like serpents. The ground beneath it seemed to seethe with unseen forces. The figure beckoned, its voice a chilling whisper that promised salvation through sacrifice. As they approached the tree, anguished cries filled the air, a chorus of tormented souls recounting their horrors. The tree was a prison for the damned, a place where souls were trapped for all eternity. The group realized with mounting dread that they were destined to join the ranks of the haunted, to be consumed by the very darkness they had dared to defy. With a surge of desperation, they turned and ran, their breathless cries mixing with the cacophony of whispers that pursued them. The forest seemed to conspire against their escape, each step an ordeal, each shadow a threat. Yet, as they neared the forest's edge, the oppressive presence relented, as if the very woods rejected their departure. Emerging from the woods, they stumbled into the harsh light of day, their faces etched with the horrors they had witnessed. Their bond had been forged in the crucible of terror, and they vowed never to speak of the unspeakable evils that had tainted their souls. But the haunting whispers of Desolation Woods would forever echo in their minds, a chilling reminder of the abyss that lies just beyond the veil of reality. In the heart of the remote moonlit pines forest, 4 friends ventured on a camping trip that would forever alter their perception of reality. The moon hung high in the sky, casting an ethereal glow on the dense canopy of trees. Laughter echoed through the crisp night air, but an unsettling tension lingered beneath the surface. As the campfire crackled, shadows danced eerily around the group. Their voices wavered as they recounted local legends, an ominous tale of a cursed hermit who had vanished into the woods, leaving only whispers of his existence behind. They laughed nervously, dismissing their unease as foolishness. As night deepened, the atmosphere grew oppressive. The wind whispered through the trees, its cadence resembling mournful cries. The fire's glow dimmed, as if reluctant to banish the encroaching darkness. Giggles turned into strained conversation, and playful jabs were replaced with wary glances. A distant howl sliced through the air, setting hearts racing. The friends huddled closer, their eyes darting to the forest's edge. The howl was followed by an eerie silence, a silence so profound that it seemed to absorb even the rustling leaves. A pervasive sensation of being watched tightened its grip on their nerves. Sleep was a distant dream that night. The forest whispered secrets, and shadows seemed to shift with a life of their own. One friend swore they heard footsteps outside their tent, while another claimed to see glowing eyes staring from the shadows. Nervous laughter gave way to palpable fear. As the moon reached its zenith, a ghostly figure emerged from the woods, an emaciated form draped in tattered rags. Its eyes gleamed with an unnatural light, fixated on the campsite with a sinister hunger. The friends' words died on their lips, replaced by a silent terror that rooted them to the spot. With trembling legs, they followed the spectral figure, driven by an unseen force. Moonlit pines seemed to transform before their eyes. Trees twisted into grotesque shapes, and the ground trembled with malevolent energy. Every step was a plunge into the unknown, each breath laden with a suffocating dread. Hours passed, and the group stumbled upon a clearing bathed in an eerie silver light. In the center stood a gnarled tree, its branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. The air grew thick with a sense of ancient malevolence, and the wind whispered a haunting melody that clawed at their sanity. The figure pointed to the tree, its voice a chilling whisper that promised release through sacrifice. In the clearing's center, a pit yawned, an abyss that seemed to lead into another realm. The friends realized with a sickening realization that they were meant to offer themselves as offerings to the forest's malevolent spirits. Desperation fueled their flight, their screams mingling with the chorus of anguished voices that pursued them. Moonlit pines seemed to conspire against their escape, branches ensnaring them, shadows morphing into grotesque forms. Yet, as they neared the forest's edge, the oppressive presence waned, allowing them to break free. Emerging into the dim light of dawn, they were changed forever, faces etched with horror, minds scarred by the terrors they had endured. The haunted forest's whispers would forever echo in their ears, a constant reminder that some realms are best left unexplored, and that the boundaries between reality and nightmare are more fragile than they ever imagined. In the heart of the desolate Midnight Hollow, 5 adventurers set out on a camping trip that would plunge them into a nightmarish abyss. The moon hung like a cold, unblinking eye, casting long, distorted shadows that seemed to writhe in the darkness. Unease gnawed at them, and even their brave facades couldn't mask the trembling fear that gripped their hearts. As the campfire crackled, its feeble light battled the encroaching shadows. The once jovial chatter grew subdued, replaced by haunted glances and a growing sense that they were not alone. The forest breathed with a life of its own, its eerie rustlings and distant whispers weaving an unsettling tapestry of dread. Laughter dissolved into tense silence when a distant bone-chilling wail pierced the night, a mournful cry that seemed to transcend time itself. The fire's glow dimmed as if in fear, and the sense of being watched settled over them like a shroud. They exchanged furtive glances, the weight of their collective fear palpable in the air. As night deepened, a relentless wind whispered through the trees, each gust carrying a faint whisper, a plea or a threat they couldn't decipher. The fire's flames flickered wildly, casting grotesque shadows that seemed to writhe with a sinister life of their own. The forest seemed alive, conspiring to ensnare them in its malevolent embrace. The group retreated to their tents, but sleep was a distant dream. Every creak of a branch, every rustle of leaves, was a haunting reminder that the woods were alive with unseen horrors. An agonized moan echoed through the night, chilling their very bones. They clung to each other, helpless against the terror that threatened to consume them. As the moon hung heavy in the sky, a figure emerged from the depths of Midnight Hollow, a shapeless mass that oozed malevolence. Its eyes glowed with an unholy light, and its form shifted and writhed like a nightmare made flesh. The friends' screams died in their throats as the figure beckoned, its voice a cacophony of anguished whispers. Driven by an inexorable force, they followed the spectral guide deeper into the heart of the forest. Trees twisted into monstrous forms, their branches reaching out like claws. The ground pulsed with a dreadful energy, and the air grew thick with a suffocating dread. Every step was a descent into madness, each heartbeat a reminder of their vulnerability. Time became meaningless as they stumbled upon a clearing bathed in an otherworldly light. In the center stood a gnarled tree, its bark etched with symbols that seemed to shift and writhe. The air buzzed with an ancient malevolence, and the wind carried haunting whispers that spoke of forgotten atrocities. The figure pointed to the tree, its voice a chilling echo that promised salvation through sacrifice. The friends hesitated, eyes wide with terror, but the force that bound them was unyielding. The tree's roots seemed to writhe like serpents, and the ground beneath it trembled with a ravenous hunger. With a surge of desperation, they broke free from the spectral guide's grip, their screams merging with the chorus of anguished voices that filled the air. Midnight Hollow seemed to twist and convulse, branches reaching out to ensnare them. Yet, as they neared the forest's edge, the malevolent presence receded, releasing its hold on their minds. Emerging from the woods, they stumbled into the cold light of dawn, faces etched with unspeakable horror, souls forever scarred by the terrors they had faced. Their laughter had been replaced by a haunted understanding, a realization that some places are tainted by an ancient darkness that defies explanation. The unseen terrors of Midnight Hollow would forever haunt their dreams, a chilling reminder that some nightmares are all too real.